Welcome to Faith-Led Healing with Tammy Trayer, Integrative Health Practitioner and Certified Breathworker. Tammy's passion is to help people take their life and health into their own hands so they can live their best life ever. Imagine having the energy to fulfill your dreams and create the life you desire. Rebalance your body by removing the stresses and toxicity and start healing. Listen as Tammy guides you along the healthy path with the Lord leading the way.
Thank you for joining the Faith-Led Healing Podcast. Consult your physician before starting any health regimen or protocol, especially if you are pregnant, breastfeeding, or if you have any unique or special medical conditions. The content of our podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to cure, treat, mitigate, or diagnose any medical condition or disease. Hey, my friends, welcome to Faith-Led Healing Podcast. I am your host, Tammy Trayer, and of course, I am joined with my co-host,
Austin Trayer.
We are here today. We're going to discuss, we're sitting here with our mugs of coffee on a damp day. I was going to say cold. It's not cold. It's just damp.
Windy.
And windy. Very windy. But
Yeah,
we'll share a little bit on that. But we're going to talk today about self-care and what that looks like for someone on the spectrum. And we say wind. We experienced an extremely windy evening last night. Scary windy, like our shovels and everything on the porch kind of took a ride, and unfortunately Austin's motorcycle got hit with the wind and got tossed a little bit, which is really crazy. So that gives you a little bit of perspective on the speed of the wind we were dealing with. So it was a little alarming. But anyway,
and it looks like we're gonna have the same wind tonight.
Yeah, it's pretty windy out now. We were hoping to be outside recording, but that's just not an option today because you'd hear lots of wind. So we're just going to share with you, this is going to be a shorter one. Thank you for hanging with us for those longer sessions, but there was just a lot of different things to cover. And self-care really is pretty simple in the perspective that you want to focus on eliminating as much stress as you can from your lifestyle. And when it comes to the spectrum, we've talked about it some last week, how, what I receive from the world is very different from what he receives, in that it used to just really come at him rapid fire. So we've got to take that into consideration and realize that they are highly stressed and that you are highly stressed. And we need to focus on finding ways to bring your stress levels down, to change, how you're seeing and how things are coming at you in the world. So we did talk about that last week with your zinc, your magnesium, your calcium. That's going to help buffer the glasses that Austin and I wear them also. The yoked prism lenses really help with, the speed of light that things are coming at you. So those are two things that are going to really help the body. But at a physical level, let's talk about that. For you, Austin, we realized early on that being outdoors and being active were like extremely helpful for you in, calming the body, exercise. So what were some of the things that really helped you the most, whether growing up or even now?
I guess going outside and shooting my BB gun.
Yes, when you were little, when you were younger. Yeah, that was a really good one. We got him a Red Ryder when he was really young, and then we got him a regular a 22, and he would spend a lot of time out here and on the farm where we were previously, shooting at cans, shooting out here. We have ground squirrels, and they carry disease, so it's good for them to not be overpopulated. So that was something that he enjoyed taking care of. And that may sound morbid, but it was a release for him. It kept his mind occupied, and and keep in mind when you're listening to this at a healing level, we also live a very preparedness lifestyle. So we do live a little bit differently than the rest of the world. So, but being out in nature, being able to do things that were repetitive, which reminds me, the repetitive things that he did gave him comfort. So one of the things that comes to mind from me thinking back are your dominoes.
Yeah. I always liked stacking them and unstacking them.
Yeah, it was really funny. He could sit for hours and just stack and unstack, stack and unstack Lego or dominoes, and then that morphed into Legos. Then you were building things with Legos. So he's always been very
hands-on.
Yeah, thank you. And he still is. And so now, share some of the things that you enjoy doing to pass the time and to get out in nature.
Going for hikes, looking for sheds, and looking for old bottles.
Yeah. So when he says sheds, we're looking for antlers. It's really funny. The very first time he said that in the video, somebody asked what size sheds we were looking for, an 8x8 or a 10x10, meaning your typical shed in your backyard. We're looking for antlers. We use them for craft. Those are something that we can utilize out here for a little bit of extra income because they purchase them by the pound for people that like to do craft and different things with them. And he's got a very meticulous eye. So everybody that goes with us when we're out shed hunting gets a little frustrated with Austin because
especially that one time when
oh my goodness,
they walked right over a pair of antlers.
Yeah, it's really funny. He's just got such an eye to see just the smallest of things sticking out in the natural setting. So it's just, but it was
funny watching you all walk right past him, and I just looked down
and located it. Right? Yeah. Yes.
A whole set.
Yes, actually, yeah, it was. It was both antlers, so which is unusual to have them right at the same spot, but they
I also found one time in the snow.
Yep.
I was walking down and I thought it was elk antlers because of how it was positioned.
And it was just a regular antler?
Okay.
But being out in nature, I can't say that enough. That is one of the best things that any of us can do is get out in nature. You have the aromatherapy, which is your just natural smells. When we were walking the other week on Mountain Women Radio, I made comment both times on just the amazing smells that we were encountering. It's an all-encompassing experience. You've got your eyes, your ears, your nose, all involved, all your senses involved in being out in nature. It's very calming and just very nurturing. So first and foremost is absolutely being out in nature. Now, we got involved with the company after the fact. Though I utilize it, and Austin would have utilized it during his seasons of need. But Harkla is a company that makes compression swings and varying pods and different items that I highly recommend. You can find them by going to faithledhealing.com/Harkla, HARKLA. And the one thing that I utilized during my healing journey was their compression swing. I was, as a matter of fact, in that yesterday taking a nap. It is amazing. It is just that. You climb in it and it compresses against you, and it's just very comforting. And it really it activates my lymphatic system, and it also helps calm the nervous system greatly. I love being in there. It's like instantaneous relief. But I want to talk about the concept of that because it really plays a role for him. So the compression of that swing is very similar to exactly what Temple Grandin did in her movie with the squeeze machine.
It's basically a fake hug.
Yeah, it's a fake. That's great. That's a great way to put it. It is. It's a fake hug. And a lot of people on the spectrum do not like to be touched.
I used to be one of those.
But you've always hugged.
I did, but I didn't at first like it.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. So you didn't always care for it. But you were always the one administering the hugs. But you still didn't like them?
Not all the time.
But it felt, in one way, it felt comforting. In another way, it was overwhelming. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So as you can see, while we are doing these podcasts, there's a lot of revelations coming through. The other thing that's interesting is that in the times when he was really, needing and in that place of struggle with autism, he couldn't express himself real well. So it's like, and a lot of that stuff is surfacing now. So it's really, if you haven't seen Temple Grandin's movie, I highly recommend it. I'm going to put the link below, and we are even going to take it a step further. We're going to try to get Temple on the show with us, because he and I had the privilege of meeting Temple, I want to say 2015. I don't remember the year for certain. I
think it was more like 2018.
Yeah, you know what? It may have been. I think you're right. Anyway, we got to meet her here in Idaho, and she gave me her phone number because I want to have her on my podcast. And he went off to school, so we didn't get in touch with her, but I'm going to reach out to her now. This is a perfect time. We've been covering...
That would be 2019.
Well, we met her in 18. You left in 19, so yeah. So anyway, her movie is great. Temple Grandin is a pioneer in and an extreme example of all things are possible. Regardless if you're on the spectrum or not. She has overcome a lot of things. She has done amazing things. And in the movie, she built a squeeze machine because she was in college and just was in school. No, she was in college then. And she was just so overwhelmed. And the squeeze machine was the thing that enabled her to unwind. And now with Austin sharing that, his hugs, like, he was an obsessive hugger. Like, he would just hug everybody. I shouldn't say everybody, the people that he knew. And they would get lots of hugs during the day. And it was very, very good. Because I was grateful, because I knew that there were so many individuals on the spectrum that just couldn't handle touch at all. So I was very thankful for that. And those hugs also, he's so much smarter and in tune in that when you hug for more than 3 seconds, I think it's 6 seconds actually, you activate your endorphins.
Not 8.
Smarty pants. But it activates the body. It activates your body to just start to release your stresses. And he knew that, and it was a very profound thing in his journey, was just the self-care of a hug and getting a hug. And those longer hugs, really, for all of us, those longer hugs are so therapeutic. So if you're a really quick hugger and you don't embrace, I would encourage you to embrace, because you're missing out, right? So the other thing that really plays a big role is the ability to, I believe, release your creativity. We all have creative desires, and we all have creativity stored in us. I had a really cool revelation last week with doing Bible study with my group that, God is the ultimate creator, and God is the ultimate of creatives. If you think about all that he created, not only us, but the stars and the sky and the earth and the water and the animals and the plants. I mean, he created all of that, and he created it in 7 days. And he's created us to be creative too, and to be our authentic selves. And I think that that's really important in the big scheme of things. As I have gotten older, that really has surfaced for me. And that was one of the things that we offered Austin. And that's what we offered you coming here into Idaho, was that you were able to be your authentic self, but it also enabled you, like we encourage you to do the things that you enjoyed doing. And, you know, some of that was artwork, Legos, building, whittling. What are some of the other ways that you did creative things?
Chop down trees.
Yeah, you
with
did.
An axe.
Yeah, and
Took
splitting
a few hours.
firewood. That repetitive stuff is really nurturing, isn't it? Yeah.
It took a while to chop down those big trees.
Yeah, but it kept you busy. It kept you occupied. It enabled you to sweat. Sweating is good. Sweating is really a good form of self-care because it allows us to get rid of the toxins in our body. So that's really, really helpful. Doing things that, you know, it doesn't, when it comes to exercise, people think that they've got to go out and they've got to kill it, that they've got to wake up the next day and be so sore because they really gave everything to it. But our bodies aren't really designed that way. Our bodies are designed for just repetitive movement and you know, continuous movement, that every day we're getting out and doing things. And that was one of the benefits of being off grid and that and living this lifestyle, is that you, the things that we did on an everyday basis ended up being that form of both exercise, release, all of those things. And when you do those repetitive things, that also nurtures the mind, does it not? Yeah.
It does. A lot.
A lot. And then
A lot.
Okay. So then when you're doing you know, having that time to unwind, let your mind do what it wants to do, that extra time for thinking or just reflection, what would you say about that? How did it benefit you, being in that quiet or that setting where you're doing the repetitive stuff?
It helped me think, be able to think about different stuff.
Okay. And just kind of like renewal, like did it slow things down?
Not really.
But it just clarified things. Okay, that's good. Yeah, because I know for myself, sometimes when I'm in the quiet, I can really slow down my thinking or remove my thinking and kind of pull into God. But there are other times where there's so much spinning, but it enables me to pull it together and kind of get clear on my the direction of things and stuff. So riding bike was also a good one. Snowshoeing, we do that too, but just being out in nature and movement, it plays such a big role. I think I mentioned it the other day, you know, being on a rebounder, a mini trampoline is like super, super good, super helpful. The other important thing is just space to be quiet, like space. If you're overwhelmed, if you're experiencing the stresses of the day, if you're schooling and it's too much, you know, being like having that awareness that you're maxing out or that you're coming close, and just taking that time to walk away, redirect, do something different for a little while, and then go back. You know, that was something you experienced when you were homeschooling. Sometimes things got overwhelming and
definitely got overwhelming.
And when you walked away from it, did you find that you know, I know, I saw, but how would you describe that when you'd walk away and then you'd be able to return to something? What was the walking away? What was the returning like?
It helped me to get over the problem by walking away for a little bit, and then I was able to figure out the problem when I got back.
Okay, so I'm going to add a little insight to this. That is true for all of us, but we're always at such a fast pace. All of you type A's out there, you just heard him. That is the way to do it, is to walk away when we
what
are
I considered.
What did I say?
Type A.
Well, no. Are you a type A?
Or am I a type B?
That's so funny. This is the humor that comes into this. So, a type A personality is one that is just very driven and is constantly in motion, solving all the problems of the world, juggling all the things. Like they're just, I was a type A before my surgery. I was insane. I'm still insane. I'm just slower now.
A lot slower.
I've gotten a lot. Yes, I slowed down a lot intentionally.
In many different ways.
That's not funny. So, and that is also a very valid point.
Stay there, Posse.
That we don't need to keep racing, like that slower pace, that more meaningful pace. A simplified life provides much more comfort than a crazy, fast-paced, chaotic life.
Yeah.
So that's
definitely way more comfortable.
So that's a huge part of self-care, is being able to hone in on that and to slow the ship down. Yes, the ship. We're going to slow it down. You're going to, okay? All my little analogies, he turns
What kind of ship? A spaceship?
Mine is, yes. Funny. And that's the other thing, laughter. Laughter is one of the greatest forms of self-care. Would you not agree? What does laughter do?
It helps you be more happy.
Well, that it does for sure. But what else? What else do you notice when you're laughing?
I don't.
Okay, you never really paid attention to it.
No.
Just everything gets easier. Everything that may have been a stressor is no longer a stressor. So, excuse me. Laughter is huge and very important. You know, here's another thing that this just popped in my head, and I'm going to go there. This is another thing that you really did a lot of, and I think was a great form of self-care for you, and that was reading. What are, in your mind, what are some ideas of how reading was transformative and helpful? I have some ideas.
It helped me figure out some of the words that I had a hard time pronouncing.
Okay. Yeah, the English language is very difficult. That was one thing that was a great struggle, was just the way the English language is set up, designed, created, whatever you want to call it. But did you not enjoy the ability of reading a book and being transformed and taken to another place for a period?
Yep.
That's pretty cool, isn't it? I always enjoy that too. That was something I greatly enjoyed. Self-care is also just pausing like this, having a conversation, enjoying a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, and just enjoying the company of other people. A lot of times, those on the spectrum are so overwhelmed that they can't sit and do this. They can't hold a conversation. They can't look eye to eye. And as I mentioned last week with the protocols, as you get some of those things in place, you get the gut health corrected, you will see your person transforming in front of you, and you will be able to have these opportunities. One of the things I'm very grateful for is the ability to have really good conversations with you. And he's really an untapped resource for me in the business and everything, because he knows a heck of a lot more than I ever realized in a lot of different arenas, just because he's inquisitive and is always checking things out on his own. You know, you're a researcher, and you also retain things. But self-care, what other... I would say naps, but you really struggled from like 5 years on until just recently to be able to take a nap. But a nap is a great release. So if you can't take a nap, get in a compression swing, are my thoughts. But what are...
I think I'm going to take a nap after this.
That's fine. So naps aren't really an option or weren't really an option for you, but what other forms of things that we did would you say nurtured you as a person and helped you to cope with things? Is there anything else you can think of that we didn't mention?
Not that I can think of.
The animals was another good one, actually, just thinking about that. You caring for the animals was something that I think calmed you.
Mm-hmm.
And, even with your dog now, he's more of a, he's not, but he's more of a therapy dog, and just that, he's a great companion, great comfort kind of thing. I mean, all animals are that. My dog is that. And
but
that
she's
is
also a stress inducer.
yeah, because she's so big.
And she doesn't behave herself all the time.
Not all the time. She's old and honoring. Don't say anything. Okay, anyway. Oh, that's funny. I saved you the trouble.
Yeah, you said it yourself.
I did. I saved you the trouble. So anyway, that is something to consider as a form of self-care, and also even self-development for someone on the spectrum is animal therapy. There's a lot of places that offer horse therapy. There is always the opportunity to get yourself a what would you have called Bowser?
Therapy dog.
Yeah, geez. Yeah, so you can get a therapy dog and just pets alone. But dogs are very intuitive, and horses are very intuitive, and I highly recommend that is having animals, because they truly are man's best friend. They know, they always know where you're at as far as physically, but also mentally and emotionally, and they want to keep their people happy. So it's pretty amazing. But just learning to slow the pace, learning to be in tune with yourself and your body and your mind, that if you need a break, to take one, and to find ways to do that. And the compression swings and the pods, and even sitting with some essential oils for a little while, and sitting out in nature and reading a book, going for a walk. Those are some really amazing, great forms of self-care. Another thing that you could do is do an Epsom salt soak, in a tub. And that would be for the adults. I mean, the children could do it too. You would have found great relief. We didn't have a bathtub at the time,
No.
here.
We had a foot tub.
Eventually. Oh, the detox foot baths. I didn't mention that last week. Yeah, that was something that you utilized also, was the detox
Until
foot
it
bath.
broke.
Well, I still use it. I just caulked it. But a detox foot bath is really, really good. Also, I am going to mention that now, and that would be a form of, self-care as well, is just taking that time to put your feet in and I'll put a link to one in the show notes that you can find by going to faithledhealing.com/podcast-59. The detox foot baths are really good because it pulls the toxicity out of the body. A lot of times, those on the spectrum are not methylating well, and therefore they are not pulling the toxins out of the body. So methylating. Your body's not getting rid of the toxicity.
Sounds like it involves meth in some way.
No, not at all. No, far from it. That is not a good substance.
But that's what it sounds like.
Yes, it did sound like, but methylation is what we're talking about. And that's what the body does. And that's how the body breaks down the toxicity. So by doing a foot bath, the foot bath pulls the toxicities out of the body through the feet. And I know that sounds weird, but it's very effective.
It's a weird feeling.
It is a weird feeling. Like, it's just tingly, but it's also very good. It's very, very good for the body, and removing the toxicities is really good. And that would be a great form of self-care. So I'm glad we brought that up. But that's, I wanted to keep this one short, and we will continue to talk further about some of the other things that he's done. Next week, we'll talk about the eye therapy that he did and share that with you, because that was really, really valuable. And that may pertain to many of you out there that are listening, because we finally found the right connections and the right people that led us to the right things. And that was amazing. So anyway, just take care of yourselves. Be good to yourselves. Slow things down. Be in tune with your bodies and be in tune with your children. If you see that they're maxing out, go do something different. Taking that time to redirect and to calm them is just so valuable, not just for them, but for you as a parent as well, because it's a lot. It's a lot of work as a parent, and you need to take good care of yourself too. So maybe we'll do a self-care for parents of children on the spectrum, because that's a very valuable subject as well. So we'll add that to the docket as well. So
the many dockets.
Yes, we've got a lot coming up here for you guys. So, and again, reach out to us at podcast@faithledhealing.com if you have questions, comments, topic ideas. So we'll just end here for today. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to visiting with you guys next week, and have a great rest of your day. God bless.
God bless.
Thank you for joining us on Faith-Led Healing, where every day is one step closer to your best life ever. We hope you enjoyed the show and encourage you to join us at faithledhealing.com. Connect with us on your favorite podcast app and be sure to leave us a review. Remember, your best life is just down the path, the Faith-Led Healing path.